Have you ever talked to an AI chatbot and thought, wow, you're smart, but you're kind of stuck in a box? Well, you're about to see how developers are basically handing these AIs a set of keys to the real world. So let's get right into it. We're talking about LangChain, the framework that's turning large language models from just talkers into powerful doers.
So, what is this thing really? At its core, LangChain is a framework for building AI-powered apps. You can think of it as the ultimate connector. It takes a powerful AI brain, an LLM, and plugs it into everything else, external tools, your own private data, and a series of logical steps to actually get a job done. It's really the go-to way to build an AI workflow that does way more than just answer a simple question.
All right, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get a really clear picture of what LangChain is. Then, we'll dig into its main idea, something called chains. After that, we'll see how it gives LLMs superpowers with tools, how it taps into real-world knowledge, and finally, we'll watch it all click together in a simple, hands-on example.
Okay, let's kick things off. The bottom line is this. If you want to build an AI application that does more than just chat, you're almost definitely going to be looking at LangChain. It has quickly become the foundational framework for developers who want to create genuinely smarter AI. Think of LangChain as a master connector. It takes the raw brainpower of a large language model and plugs it into all the other stuff it needs to actually be useful. We're talking external tools like a Google search or a calculator, your own private data from PDFs or company databases, and, this is crucial, a structured way for it to reason through a problem step by step. And this isn't some niche, hard-to-access tech. It's built for Python and TypeScript, which are basically the everyday languages for millions of developers. This accessibility is a huge reason why it has just exploded in popularity.
Okay, so LangChain connects things, but what does it connect them into? Well, that brings us to its most fundamental idea, chains. Honestly, the best way to think about a chain is like an assembly line or a pipeline built specifically for an AI task.
And here's how a simple chain might work. It all starts with your input, a question or command. That gets sent to an LLM to think about it. The LLM might then decide it needs to use a tool, gets a result back, cleans up that result into a nice, useful format, and boom, it delivers the final answer. Each step just flows right into the next.
Now, the real magic of chains is that they are incredibly flexible. They're modular. Let's say you're not loving the OpenAI model you're using. No problem. You can swap it out for a model from Anthropic or Grok with literally a single line of code. This lets developers mix and match, finding the absolute perfect component for each step in their AI assembly line. So these simple chains are fantastic for tasks you can map out ahead of time. But what happens when you don't know the exact steps needed to solve a problem? Well, this is where LangChain gets really, really cool. It's time to introduce tools and the concept of an agent. So, what are these tools? They are exactly what they sound like. They give the LLM actual, real-world abilities. A tool could be the power to search the web for up-to-the-minute info, to perform a complex math problem without making a mistake, or even to call an external service to get live data like a stock price or the current weather forecast.
And this is a total game changer. A standard LLM, if you ask it for today's weather, might just, hallucinate. It'll make up an answer that sounds right but is completely fake. A LangChain agent, though, is different. It has a reasoning engine. It understands the question, realizes it needs current info, and decides for itself to use the Weather API tool to get the real live forecast. No more guessing, it's about facts. That's amazing for real-time data. But what about grounding the AI in your specific knowledge? Like, how do you get it to answer questions about your company's private documents or a super dense technical manual? For that, we turn to a really powerful technique called RAG. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. I know, it sounds complicated, but the idea behind it is simple and just brilliant. It's the process of giving an LLM your specific documents, your PDFs, your internal wikis, so that when it answers a question, it's not just pulling from its general knowledge, it's retrieving information directly from your verified sources. And LangChain makes this whole process pretty straightforward. First, you feed it all your data. That data gets chopped up and stored in a special kind of database called a vector database, which is awesome at finding things that are conceptually similar. Then, when a user asks a question, LangChain zips into that database, finds only the most relevant snippets of info, and hands them to the LLM along with the question. The result? A perfectly accurate answer that's totally aware of the context from your documents.
Okay, theory is great, but let's make this feel real. We're going to walk through a really simple step-by-step example of how you'd actually build a basic LangChain app that can summarize an article.
Getting started is as easy as it gets. For any Python developer, it's just one command in their terminal, pip install LangChain. Seriously, that's it. The whole framework is now ready to go in their project.
Next up, in the actual code, you just import the specific pieces you need, your language model of choice, a prompt template, and so on. Think of it like grabbing your ingredients. Then you initialize the model with your secret API key, which connects your app securely to the AI service. Then you create what's called a prompt template. This is basically a reusable recipe of instructions for the AI. See that part in the curly braces, article? That's a placeholder. It lets you dynamically plug in any article you want to summarize later on. And now, we build the chain. Just look at how clean and intuitive this is. Using that little pipe symbol, you are literally defining the assembly line. The input goes to the prompt's output goes to the LLM, and the LLM's output goes to the parser for cleanup. It's the whole workflow in one elegant line of code. And finally, you just run it. You call the invoke function on the chain you just built, you pass in the article text, and that's it. LangChain takes over, runs the data through every step of your pipeline, and gives you back a nice, clean summary. It really is that simple. So, as you can see, LangChain is so much more than just a coding library. It's a whole new way of thinking about building with AI. It gives these powerful language models a toolkit, a connection to facts, and a rulebook for how to think. It turns them from fascinating novelties into genuinely useful tools, which really just leaves us with one big question. Now that AI can be connected to pretty much anything, what amazing problems are we finally going to solve?